Take care of your body. It is the only place you have to live. Jim Rohn. On today's episode, we're going to talk about what we as entrepreneurs, actually as people, need to do to be healthy. Take care of our hearts so we can continue to run our businesses and love on our families. You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm so thrilled to kick off this new year with this episode. Serving as Vice President of Health Strategies here in Atlanta with the American Heart Association, my guest today is here to help us get our year started off just right. As entrepreneurs, it can be easy to put our nose to the ground and work so much that we neglect our health. But today we're going to talk about taking care of our heart. Shana Scott is a public health leader that has worked at the intersection of public health, law, community advocacy, and policy for almost 20 years. Shana has held roles at Barnes Health Services and Georgia Department of Public Health, as well as taught health policy and policy evaluation methods at the University of Georgia since 2018. Holding a Juris Doctorate, a master's degree in public health, and a bachelor's degree of science and biology, Shana is truly a wealth of knowledge. Trust me when I tell you, this is not an episode you want to skip or fast forward. Let's jump into my conversation with Shana. Thank you for joining me today, Shana.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. This is going to be a great conversation because I know that health is so important. As we kick off a new year, I know many people have re-upped on their gym membership and they're focused on getting healthy. Perhaps, losing that holiday gut, but being part of the American Heart Association. And what are some of the things you all would like us to think about?
Yeah, physical health is very important, right? And everyone's going to be in the gym and working out. What I will say is if working out hasn't been a part of your everyday, try not to overdo it and, be excessive. So take it slow. And physical activity can mean anything from 10 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, or, a full-blown cardio workout. But for us at the American Heart Association, we really want people to know that the mind, the heart, as well as the body are deeply connected, right? When people think about the American Heart Association, they think about heart attacks or heart disease or maybe high blood pressure. But all of the three are really interconnected. If you want a healthy heart, you also need to have a healthy mind, and that body is also connected to it. So positive self-talk, having positive connections with yourself, getting plenty of rest. Sleep is important. When we think about heart disease, a lot of people don't know that if you are not getting good quality sleep, that increases your risk for cardiovascular disease or heart disease. And so ensuring that we're getting the rest that we need, we are paying attention to our mind and things that may be happening from a mental health perspective. And then the work that you're putting into your body, whether it's working out, whether it's eating healthy, whether it's, getting your fruits and vegetables, it's all connected to a healthy heart as well.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I will tell you, I did not expect that response.
You didn't expect me to go there.
I did not expect the mind, the body, and the heart to be all connected. I mean, we know it is, but I just didn't think you were going to go there. And then sleep is my nemesis because it is so hard for me to I get good sleep, but I don't get enough of it.
Right.
Tell me more about what are the recommendations for sleep?
Yeah, I would say not knowing, depending on your audience, right? For children. So if we have parents of children, we want to ensure that our little ones are getting at minimum 10 hours of sleep. I know it sounds crazy, but we do want to ensure that our little ones are getting at minimum 10 hours of sleep. And when I say our little ones, I'm talking about maybe those 11 and under. Now, our teens, and if you have a teenager like I do, you probably know they are always asleep. And that is okay because they need the most amount of sleep in order for their bodies to grow healthily, in order for their minds to be alert, in order for them to have a healthy mindset and healthy mental health. We want our teens to be getting around 12 hours of sleep a day. And then for us adults, 25 and older, the traditional 7 to 8 hours is fine. If you get 9 hours, awesome, good for you. But really, if you can aim for, Monica, 6 hours, I would say you're doing okay. Now, how many hours of sleep do you get?
It depends.
Depends on
Weekends,
the day. Mm-hmm.
yeah, weekends, I'm all about it. I may sleep 8, 9 hours on
Okay.
the weekends because I
Okay.
use a sleep app that keeps up with when I wake up and all the rhythms.
Right.
But
Right.
during the week, I'm struggling because I'm a night owl. And so I like
Yeah.
to stay up late, but then I have kids I have to get to school. So it's a struggle to get
Yeah.
6. 7 is really a struggle, but usually I'm
Yeah.
around 6.
What we do know from research is that 1 in 3 adults don't get enough sleep. We want to ensure, when they say you want to sleep like a baby, we do want to be able to sleep like a baby. So aiming for that 7 to 9 hours, putting your devices away, dimming the lights, blocking out any excess light or sound, keeping your room calm and cool. Those are all of the things that are going to impact your sleep. And what we know about sleep is that, again, it helps to repair and heal our cells in our body, our tissues, our blood vessels. It strengthens your immune system, and it does really also lower your risk of cardiovascular disease as well.
Wow. Okay. I am going to share this episode also with my tween daughter because
Yes.
she is 12. And for some reason, she is extremely health conscious. But when it comes to sleep, she
needs her sleep.
but she doesn't get it. She needs it, but she'll focus on getting her homework done. And I know that's important, but I'm like, you got to get your sleep. You have finals tomorrow. You need to go to sleep so you can think clearly and that type of thing.
Yeah.
We're working on it though.
She has to get that sleep. And in those tween years, that's when the increase, the amount of sleep that they need does increase. Us older adults, 7 to 9 hours is okay. But for tweens and young adults, we need them in the double digits sometimes.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely make sure she listens to this episode and she'll take it to heart because once she understands what's at stake, especially because she wants to be taller than me, so she'll get more sleep.
Exactly. That growth is when you are sleeping, all good things happen.
Yes, I love that. Let's talk about the mindset piece of it, or the mind. You mentioned the mind. What can we do in regards to our mind to help us with, good cardiovascular health?
Yeah, I think, we know that good mental health protects our heart, and positive self-talk. I hate to have that conversation about, especially since you mentioned the tween, but the social media. So removing anything from our lives that will increase your daily stressors or threaten your mental health. Allowing opportunities for problem solving and strategically planning will help to reduce and control your stressors. Having a good mental health and a sense of purpose and creating that sense of purpose, coming up with a vision for yourself, even a vision for your day. When you wake up in the morning and say, this is how I want my day to go, this is how I envision my day happening, that will boost your mood so much you don't even know. Being able to do that daily, ending your day with positive self-talk, ending your day with maybe an app around mindfulness or just a little 3 to 5 minute motivational video or recording will help calm you down and boost your mood for the next day. And really, your mind does directly impact your biology. Negative emotions can trigger your fight or flight response. If you're watching something scary at night, you're most likely going to have nightmares, and then you're most likely going to not be well rested. It also, releases cortisol and adrenaline, which can stress your heart out. And we do know that prolonged stress increases that inflammation, and then it does lower your immune response.
Wow. Okay. That is really good to know. One of the things that I did this year, maybe I started last school year, I can't remember, but I would always be really stressed about my kids not being late to school.
Right.
And
well, I know it.
what I did was I reframed it. I'm like, you know what? I've got to leave earlier. I told myself I needed to leave at 7:15 instead of 7:35, though they're only a few minutes away, and them getting there at 8. That has relieved so much of my stress and pressure around that.
Yeah. And it causes you to not rush. And like that projection that you're doing then moves on to them, causes their day. It's all a snowball effect. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because that's also one of mine. My little one does not like being late to school. She will let us know if she missed carpool in the morning or something and she had to walk to the front. For me, in the car, I've changed the time so that it's not exactly what time it is. So if it's 7:15, I've moved the time back a little bit so that we're earlier. And all of the clocks around our house has that earlier time so that we're not rushing. Like, oh my God, it's 7:15. We need to get out the door. Okay, it's 7. We have a cushion. We can breathe. Who knows what traffic is going to bring, right? Who knows what the weather is going to be? All of those things, protecting your peace, like you can do it in little increments, and it will relieve those stressors that you feel and just have a more relaxing day than being on edge until it's time to pick up that afternoon, right?
Right. Yeah, I like that, protecting your peace. My word for 2023 is success flow, because of course, desire to be successful in my business and in my health and in my life, but I also want to do it with ease and with flow.
Yeah.
I don't want to be stressed out. So I love that, protecting your peace. That's going to be my tagline underneath my word.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And I did a visioning for myself last month to plan for my new year. And for me, my word was peace, like having peaceful children, peaceful conversations, peaceful relationships with friends and family. That is my goal for the next year of my life.
I love it. I love that. Tell me this, because one of the things we should do also is get an annual physical. We should be seeing our physician. What questions or what concerns should we have, or what testing should we be asking for when we go see our physician when it comes to our heart?
Right. And I will just, have a caveat and say that I'm not a medical doctor. This isn't medical advice. But, depending on the phase of life you are in, there are different recommended tests that you take, right? But for your annual physicals, automatically, they're going to check your blood pressure. They're going to check your sugar levels. Checking your blood pressure is very important. And we can also check our blood pressures at home as well. You can purchase a blood pressure device from Amazon or your local CVS. Probably Amazon would be better because they will more likely have them in stock than your local CVS. With the pandemic, a lot of those things were sold out because everyone wanted to get a blood pressure machine or a pulse ox. With COVID, I would just say online is better. But if you have a history of hypertension or high blood pressure in your family, I would recommend getting your own device so that you can check periodically and frequently. And you can watch videos online, also on heart.org, the American Heart Association website, to show how to properly check your blood pressure. You want to be seated. You want to not be having any conversation. When you go into your appointment and they're talking to you, you should not be responding. You should be very still with your feet flat on the floor, sitting upright. You should also ensure that they are utilizing a cuff that fits your arm. I'm a lot smaller. And so making sure that they are using a small cuff that fits me and not just like the average cuff Or if you are have a larger arms, making sure that they're using an extra large cuff and not using the cuff that's, for everyone. So getting your blood pressure checked, ensuring that you are in a healthy blood pressure range. 140/90 is considered elevated and high blood pressure. And so you want to be below that. If you have a history of blood pressure, you do want to, again, ensure that you are aware of that. You're aware of your family history. And then, a lot of people don't know that high blood pressure and diabetes are connected. If you also have a family history of diabetes, you want to ensure that you are getting your A1C checked. Most people will say, I'm getting my sugar checked. You want to make sure that you're getting your A1C checked. And any A1C above 9 is considered type 2, diabetes. There are 2 different types, type 1 and type 2, but A1C over 9 is what we don't want. Pre-diabetes is anything between 7 and 9. So you want to be in that below 7 range to know that, okay, maybe I can relax and eat more fruits, because that could, increase, some sugary things could increase your diabetes. Many different things can trigger your diabetes, especially family history, genetics. If you are overweight or obese, all of these things could impact both your risk for hypertension as well as for diabetes. And then there are other tests, but those are really the 2. If you have a family history of heart disease, ensuring that your primary care provider is aware and can make some referrals to a cardiologist to get your heart checked as well. And they'll do stress tests and things like that to ensure that your heart is functioning properly.
Gotcha. Yeah, my grandmother had diabetes and high blood pressure. And I was actually just diagnosed with high blood pressure a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And I tried to fight it naturally because I don't like prescriptions. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do all the things. I mean, I read all the things, took all the non-medical stuff that I could, and it just wasn't working. And my doctor said to me, she's like, you're petite, you eat healthy, so it's heredity.
And your hypertension may not have been related to diet and physical activity.
Right.
It could be related to stress, Monica. It could also be your family history plus stress. And yes, it's not a one size fits all for everyone. There are multiple risk factors. Knowing your family history and understanding your risk factors is what will be helpful in managing your blood pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. I ended up on a prescription, but luckily it's worked out that I was taking it consistently. Okay. And so she cut it in half. So I take it every other day instead of every day. But yeah, it was one of those things that I was trying to, take the holistic approach to it. But I couldn't fight back without a prescription. And that's okay.
And that is okay.
Yeah. But I did want to have this conversation with you because I do know, as entrepreneurs especially, we do have a weight sometimes that can weigh on our heart. I know for me personally, when you're responsible for making sure other people are getting paid every week or every other week or whatever the responsibilities are, that can be a weight. It can be heavy. Trying to work through that as an entrepreneur can be tough. And I do know that getting our physicals is really, really important.
Yes.
That being said, too, though, you mentioned diet. What are some things that we should look out for when it comes to the food that we're putting in our bodies? What are some recommendations there?
Yeah, I would say ensuring that you are, and I have a plate in front of me. I wanted to hold it up because it's a plate that's separated, but there's some food on it. But your audience can Google it to see a healthy plate and we learned about the food groups in middle and high school, right? We have our grains and we have our vegetables and our fruits, and we have our fats and our healthy fats. And so we want to make sure that we're eating from the bottom up. So we have our grains at the bottom, we have our fruits, our vegetables, and we want to get that 5 a day, 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day, ensuring that we're getting our grains, ensuring that we are also drinking plenty of water and reducing the amount of fats that we are incorporating in our diet, our butters, our oils, things like that. But in short, I wouldn't say don't eat this, don't eat that. It's really about getting the food groups in and ensuring that we are hydrating our body and getting our fruits and our vegetables.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I think I want one of those plates that you mentioned. It's kind of neat, especially for my kiddos. I feel like.
And that's who I got them for, was my daughter, because it's broken into the 4 sections, and then it has a bigger section for the grains and then equal for the fruits and the vegetables. And, I skipped the protein part, but of course we want to get our protein. Protein can be not just meat, there are beans, there are legumes, there are nuts. A lot of things can give us our proteins. And just in case you have not guests, but audience members that may be vegetarian, you can still get your protein without having meat. But yeah, so the plate is broken into that section, but you can just go and they can Google the My Plate, and we'll see how we should be eating.
Right. And when you're saying grains, is that rice and quinoa and things like that?
Yes, it could be cereal, so those types of grains. It could be rice, barley, oats, wheat, our breads, not too many breads, but all of those things are in the grain family.
A question that I have is, when you talk about heart disease, does that lead to a heart attack? Or is there a difference there? Or
a difference between heart disease and a heart attack?
Right. I mean, I know a heart attack is, sudden, typically and extreme,
right.
But what is heart disease? I think that's what I'm confused about.
Heart disease is just a range of conditions that impact the heart. Heart disease can include coronary artery disease or an irregular heartbeat. So you may have people who were born with, an arrhythmia, an irregular heartbeat, or an arrhythmia may come on over time. You may have folks who were born with heart problems, like a congenital heart defect, any disease of the muscle of the heart. And so the heart, again, I'm not a medical doctor, but the heart is broken up into, our chambers, and there are muscles inside of our heart. Mm-hmm. And there can be a disease of the muscle. There can also be diseases of the valves. The valve is what opens and closes when the blood is being pumped through. Any of those things is considered heart disease.
Okay.
And there are different symptoms depending on the type of heart disease that we are looking at. Coronary artery disease, the symptoms may be different for men and women. Men are more likely to have chest pain. They have coronary artery disease, and women are more likely to have chest discomfort, such as shortness of breath, nausea, fatigue. It depends. I hate to use it depends, but it really depends on what we're talking about. Coronary artery disease comes about where it impacts your blood vessels and the blood vessels that supply the heart muscle, or you may have plaque that deposits in your arteries, and that also causes coronary artery disease. So you may hear like someone has a plaque buildup and they have to have like a bypass or something like that. And that can lead to a heart attack. If your arteries have cholesterol deposits and the blood isn't able to flow, that can lead to a heart attack, chest pain, or even a stroke.
Wow. Okay.
To answer your question, the different types of heart disease can lead to different things, such as either heart attacks, chest pain, strokes, etc. And then the types of diseases have different symptoms depending on what we are talking about. If you are experiencing chest pain plus dizziness plus race and heartbeat plus shortness of breath, it is highly likely that something is happening, and you should call 911 to ensure that you are not having any type of heart dysfunction.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my next question, is what should we look out for? And you just answered that.
Yeah. And I would say it's not like one symptom. It's going to be multiple symptoms together.
Okay.
But men and women have different symptoms when it comes to heart distress, heart attacks. You want to ensure that you are aware of what the symptoms. if someone were to have a heart attack, what we do know is that around this time, the holiday season, when people are at home, that is when most people experience some sort of heart attack or heart symptom. So ensuring that everyone in your household is aware and able and capable of performing CPR. You can do hands-only CPR where you don't have to put your mouth on the person. It's just the chest compressions and you are doing the beats, doing the compressions. And as one person is doing the compressions, if there are multiple people, ensuring that someone else is calling 911 so that while we are waiting for the ambulance to arrive, they're getting the chest compressions. You don't want to just leave the person while we're waiting for 911, because what we do know is that if we are able to provide assistance in that first 10 minutes, the likelihood of survival will increase.
Wow. Okay.
I know that got real heavy.
You did a little bit, but it's okay because we want to know. Knowledge is truly power. Can you tell us the differences between men and women? I mean, I know it can still be different.
I would say, looking for the chest pain, if you have tingling running down your arm, the sweating, the shortness of breath, men are more likely to experience the chest pain and women are more likely to experience the pain in the arms, pain in the jaw.
Okay. That's good for us to know. Okay. Holidays, you mentioned this is the time when people are often home and things happen. Do you all think that is due to the holiday stress or just no?
I wouldn't necessarily say that I have any data around that. We can't, precisely explain cause and why, but we do know that heart attacks are more common during the holidays. It could be because of unhealthy changes in diet, higher alcohol consumption, stress from just being around all of your family, strained finances, travel and entertainment. Any of those things could be a part of why, we have that break from home and you're not from work and you're not in your regular routine. But more people may ignore the signs and symptoms of a heart attack and they may dismiss them as just stress from running around, doing too many errands. And we do want to let people know that this is something that you should be watching for. From the data, we know that between December and the New Year's, heart-related deaths increased by about 5%. And daily visits to hospitals for heart failure can increase by about 33% during the 4 days after Christmas.
Wow. Okay.
Like I mentioned, the contributing factors, stress. If you're already on a medication, folks may be skipping their medication because, they're at home. It's a different routine. Maybe they didn't refill their prescriptions, not getting any exercise, or the converse, getting too much exercise. So, which is what I had mentioned earlier, trying to not overdo it. So you may try to get in shape very quickly, and that could put some strain on the heart. Overeating, over drinking, or too much salt intake, too much sodium intake.
Gotcha. Okay. All in moderation, drinking, exercise, all of it. Okay. Well, Shana, is there anything else we should just think about when it comes to our heart health that I haven't asked you about?
Yeah, I think knowing and recognizing the symptoms that I mentioned, and then ensuring that you're trained in hands-only CPR. And so hands-only CPR, it's not the CPR certification where you need to go to a class. You can watch a quick video on YouTube about hands-only CPR. On our website, heart.org, we also have quick videos teaching you how to do the hands-only CPR. And you want to be able to do the pumps to that song, Staying Alive. Yes. So if you're able to keep the beat with Staying Alive, and then call 911 if there's a medical emergency, if you think you're having a heart attack, or if you think someone in your home is having a heart attack because they're having chest pain, discomfort that spreads to the shoulders, the arm, the back, the jaw, or even the upper abdomen, what may feel like indigestion or shortness of breath and sweating. for more than 15 minutes, this is generally what is happening. Women, we tend to have more vague symptoms, just such as the nausea or the back and the jaw pain, but know that it could happen suddenly, and CPR and 911 or any local emergency number that you may have access to.
Okay. That's good to know. I will say, before COVID, I was in the car and I was like, okay, why is my chest hurting? Why are things hurting? Anyway, I was having a slight anxiety attack because I did call the doctor, and the nurse was like, "You're okay, but we do need to see you."
Yeah, and recognizing the difference between anxiety and a heart attack too, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that, when I started with the mental health conversation, that's something that we might not be aware of, that anxiety pain is real and it can be debilitating. And it can make you feel like you're having a heart attack. Decreasing our stressors and just taking a breath, really focusing on your mindfulness will help probably decrease the levels of anxiety so that you're able to recognize, am I having a heart attack or am I having anxiety?
Right. Does the American Heart Association have any recommendations when it comes to like meditation? Is there any information on y'all's website around that as well?
There is information about mindfulness, not necessarily about meditation. It's really about that whole body, right? Ensuring that you're going to bed on time, you're getting fresh air, you're moving your body, and whatever mindfulness looks like to you. So it may not necessarily be meditation. Okay. It could be taking a walk. It could be unplugging from social media. It could mean connecting with friends and family and doing something that you love. And I don't want to say meditate or, but it's about focusing on your mental health and your mental habilitation is what's important. And then eating healthy and finding ways to help others and just taking that deep breath. You can go to heart.org/stress and it will provide you information about that heart, mind, body connection and the interrelatedness and how we can improve our psychological health, which then improves our physical health.
Gotcha. Yeah. And it's interesting. There's definitely a lot of talk now about mental health. Mental health, I feel like probably in the past year or two has been a huge conversation. And I really wonder, I'm sure there's some studies out there that I would have to dig around to look for, but how social media has actually impacted our mental health.
Yeah.
Because it can be overwhelming if you're not careful.
Yeah, I don't know of any studies off of the top of my head, but there are several books, and I believe there was like a Netflix documentary about, social media and the impact on mental health in youth and children. Yes. But yes, there are several studies about the social media use and linked to decline in mental health and the harmful effects of social media and mental health, or the negative effects of social media and mental health.
Yeah, could definitely see it. Well, I really appreciate you sharing all of your knowledge around this. And I am hoping that for those who are listening, we can take away and learn, know the symptoms, know the signs, and also just, the fitness part is great, but also the sleep, the mind, all the things.
Yes.
All together.
All together or whatever you can do. I don't want people to go out and, start working out aggressively and, whatever you can do. So if you can only start with getting your rest, do that. If you can start with adding one fruit to your diet a week, do that. Or if you can take a 15-minute walk every day, do that.
Yeah. I always just like to move my body. I can't always do the intense workouts, but I just need to at least go outside and get some fresh air. That'll just make me feel better.
Yes, I agree. I'm going to do that right after this. It has stopped raining finally. So
finally, I know. Now I'm just ready for a little sunshine.
Yes.
Shana, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Monica. It has been a pleasure. And any of your listeners can visit the heart.org website, or on Facebook, there is our Georgia chapter of the American Heart Association. We do have an office here in Atlanta. I don't know if your folks are all over, but we have chapters in many parts of the country. Connect with your local American Heart Association if you are interested in volunteering or serving in your community.
Yes, and I'll be sure to link to all of your contact info in the show notes as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Monica. It has been a pleasure.
Shana, thank you so much for the knowledge you've shared with us here on the podcast today. If you need to get in touch with Shana, her contact information is in the show notes, as well as the link to the American Heart Association. Okay, this conversation with Shana left me with a variety of takeaways. The first one is heart, mind, and body are all connected, all three. And I think we already know this, but I think going into this conversation with Shana, I expected for us to stick more specifically with heart health, but we really must focus on all three of these things. And that is where true self-care for the entrepreneur, for the human being, the human body really comes into play. Secondly, I absolutely love her phrase, protecting your peace. And with that, we have to figure out effective and efficient ways to do that, to do just that. And so, I mentioned kind of tricking myself when it comes to getting the kids to school, but we may all have to do that in other areas as well. And so I am giving that some thought. And we can all give it some thought by asking ourselves, what can we do to alleviate us feeling anxious, rushed, alleviate being late? Is there a better way to perhaps handle emails, text messages, putting our phones on do not disturb at certain times of the day, maybe having specific cutoff times for work? I know personally I'm not that great at that. And then maybe even taking a social media break, either from posting ourselves or taking a break from even getting stuck on the scroll bar of social media. The last thing, or the last couple of things also that I took from Shana is, of course, we need to get our physicals, our annual physicals. And then if there's something else we need to check on, really making those things a priority. And lastly, Shana reminded us to just start somewhere. Start small, working out a bit if you don't already work out. That could be by simply taking a 5 or 10 minute walk each day. Eating right by adding something perhaps that you don't currently take in your diet, such as more fruit or more vegetables. Getting more sleep. The key is to just start somewhere. If you want to zone in even more on your health as we move through this new year, the Become Your Own Boss Planner can help. The Become Your Own Boss Planner focuses on 6 key areas of our lives. They are spiritual, intellectual, money, physical, love and relationships, and entertainment. With weekly emphasis placed on the physical aspect of your life, you can be sure to stay focused on exercise, eating healthy, and getting adequate rest. If you're interested in the planner, you can purchase it at becomeyourownbossplanner.com. If you have any specific questions on the planner, feel free to email me. My email is very simple. It's just monica@monicaallen.com, or you can message me on Instagram. Be sure to take a moment to visit my website, which is monicaallen.com, to join the Become Your Own Boss community. As we build out this community, the first thing coming to you will be a bi-weekly newsletter. The newsletter will be there along with the podcast to support you even more along your entrepreneurial journey. For those who are already a part of the community, I'm so glad that you have joined. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Become Your Own Boss Podcast. Also, take a moment to leave a review for the podcast. I tell you what, I love a new year. It is a perfect time to use as a reset and determine where you would like to move personally as well as professionally. So let's do it together. Remember, now is the time. Do not put things off. Now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.